Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, those of you that have already read. That was really gripping, and it's my first time coming along here today, and I really enjoyed listening to you guys, and I hope you get something out of what I'm going to read today. So yeah, I'm going to read to you from a fiction. It's pretty much already completed the first draft of it. It's just a case of getting those edits down, and I'm really excited to read to you the excerpt I'm reading from today. A little bit about the story. It's called 94,000 in Berlin. And that 94,000 is in reference to the 94,000 fans that are waiting for our protagonist, Bennie Phoenix, in the Olympiastadion in Berlin, where he's about to finish his world tour. But at the start of the novel, Bennie, who is at the brink of a mental breakdown, realises he cannot go and perform his final show. The rest of the novel then takes place through a series of first-person POVs, point of views of the different characters that surround him in the hotel and in Berlin on that last day. One of the main point of view characters we get is a character called Dean Rook, who is his personal bodyguard. Now, in a past life, before he became a bodyguard, Dean served as a combat medic in Afghanistan. He served 2 tours, and the excerpt I'm about to read for you is about his time when he was on his 2nd tour in Afghanistan, so it's a flashback chapter, and it's told from the perspective of a young girl called Damza Ghaznavi, who is a 10-year-old girl. Chapter 34, Damza Ghaznavi, June 2008. When the rain finally came, it came in a furious black storm. I'm sitting, wrapped in my mum's old blanket at the foot of the stairs as I listen to Baba and Amati talk in the kitchen. The pouring on the roof outside sounds like 1,000 tiny fingers wrestling, begging to come in. Baba's voice is quick, but quiet. He always talks in shush voices now, when he's in the kitchen. When he comes out, he speaks normally, but when he and Amati, or he and Mama, are talking on their own, it's only in shush voices. I spoke in a shush voice to Ali when he came over to give us this week's bread from the house. He comes most Saturdays to give us some in exchange for a few of our herbs from the garden. I asked him if his Baba speaks in a shush voice when he's in his kitchen. He told me his Baba has been gone a long time, but that the other men in his house speak quite loudly. I said to him, "Are these the men who bake the bread that you give us?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Okay." The rain is still hitting the roof very hard. Baba has friends over tonight, so Mama, Amati and I are sitting in the bedroom and we're playing punch pa. I'm winning, but I think they might both be letting me win. 4th win in a row, I tell them, scraping all the cards back together. You're both terrible. They roll their eyes and smile, but as they do, angry shouting comes, muffled through the doorway. It's one of Baba's friends. Why is he angry at Baba? I ask. Maman looks over at Amati, who purses her lips. She then shushes me and tells me to deal the cards quicker. The rain from last night has brought lots of earthworms and beetles up in the garden out the back of our house. The air is much cleaner now, and the smell of the smoke has been taken out of the air by the water. Mama told me to go out here to collect the carrots and the okra from the end of the yard. But I've spent much more time watching the worms chase each other in between the cracks of the concrete. When I do go inside, the vegetables sitting in a small fabric satchel at my waist, I come into the main room to see Mama sitting at the dinner table. Her eyes are red and puffy. Baba is standing in the middle of the room, with his hands held behind his back. He's wearing his old white tunic, which has started to turn a faded brown over many dusty motorcycle rides. And on his head is his usual deep purple turban. "Damza, sit here," he says, gesturing to a dining chair beside the table. I look at her maman, but she's staring at the wall. She's cracking her fingers underneath the fabric of her burqa. "Now, Damza." I do as I'm told, and I place the bag of carrots and okra down on the table as I pass. Baba's wide, dark eyes follow me across the room and watch me settle in the wooden chair. He coughs to clear his throat, and I take the opportunity to once again try and find Maman's eyes, which I still can't seem to do very well. "I need you to do something for me. This bag." He gestures to a large brown holdall which is resting underneath the table. "Take it and walk to the town square on Friday morning." Mama hiccoughs, and I once again look at her, this time saying her name, but she just shakes her head and brushes her hand against her knees. On my own? Why, Baba? I say to him, looking down at the odd bag poking out from under the table. Your mum will be there too, and I. But the bag is yours to carry, and you must practice carrying it before then. Do you understand? Practice? I echo him. In the yard. I'll help you. Just walking. Very carefully. Mama all of a sudden stands and runs out the room, holding her head in her hands, and she's sobbing. She leaves up the stairs, and I hear her bedroom door slam close. Mama, I shout. It's fine. Baba interrupts me. She is worried you cannot do the job, but I know you will do everything we ask of you. Am I correct, Assalam? I curl my lips up nervously, worried about Mama and the big job to do, but I decide to put my brave face on. Of course. When do we need to start practice? The bag is heavy and awkward, but Baba made it very clear during the practice time that I have to carry it with one hand. I'm standing in the front of our yard, next to our car, while Baba and his friends are talking by the iron gate that stands between us and the street. One of his friends is standing next to me, but he's not talking to me and I don't know his name. He's very tall and has one of the longest beards that I've ever seen on a man. Baba strides over to me. He looks very serious. I'm a little bit worried today. I know carrying this bag is very big and a very important job, but I still don't really understand why. I'd asked him once or twice during practice and another time during dinner, but every time he just waves his hand in the air and says nothing else. Baba looks down at me. His turban is tight and compact today. I try to smile upwards, but the sun creeping around his frame is blinding me, so I just sort of squint. Are you ready, Damsa? Do you have any questions? This is the first time he's asked me that since they asked me to do the job. I do not waste the opportunity. When I get to the fountain... Yes, and you wait at the bench? Yes, Baba. When I wait at the bench at the fountain, will I be able to see you? Or Mama? Or Amati? He furrows his mouth and the black hairs above his lips wriggle up and down. Damsa, listen to me very carefully. He kneels down and places one hand on my shoulder and another gently on the top of the holdall. Mama and I are always with you, and Allah will always be with you. He moves his hand from my shoulder to hover right above my heart. If you are feeling scared or worried today, especially when you are waiting at the bench, I want you to speak to Allah and ask for his kindness and his protection. Do you understand? Yes, Baba. His eyes hover over mine for a second. Khuda Hafiz, Madamsa. He rises and squeezes my shoulder as he turns to the man next to me. It's time to leave. Baba had not told me that the foreign soldiers would be in town today. I'd seen them a few times, but I don't like them. They scare me. They've got big guns and giant trucks. I've never spoken to any, but I see them speaking to some of us every now and then. There are lots of them. They're mainly stood in and around the centre of the square, speaking to some of the market sellers and the tradespeople. I'd say there are at least 50 of the foreign soldiers, each gripping their black guns with one hand across their chest. The rain... sorry, that was the last page. The rainwater from the storm had left muddy puddles all over the square. I wonder if I'll see any worms or beetles as I walk across to the fountain. I look quickly to the tables of a coffee shop at the side of the square. That is where Baba, Amati and Mama are sitting with some of Baba's friends and their wives. Even with their burqa covering them, I can easily identify Mama amongst the women. Hers are the only eyes that are glued to mine. The sun reaches the highest point in the sky about 5 minutes later. This is my signal to walk to the fountain. I do so, being careful not to knock the holdall against my legs as I move, just like Baba said. Reaching the bench, 2 of the foreign soldiers are looking at me, so I divert my eyes and I stare at the fountain, the water trickling and leaping around the basin. One of the 2 soldiers is now coming closer and closer and closer until he is standing about 2 meters to my left, hand still tightly gripped on his gun. Allah, please do not make me speak to him, please. The soldier has pale white skin, and it doesn't look like there is any hair under his cream helmet. He's nowhere near as tall as Baba, and certainly not as tall as Baba's friend. He also has no beard, which looks really strange. Assalamu alaikum, little one, he says, resting back on the corner of the fountain. Are you with your parents? Do they know where you are? He's speaking English, A language that I can speak fairly well myself, as SpongeBob SquarePants is untranslated to Dari, so I have lots of experience listening to it. However, Bubba had told me in practice to not speak to anyone while I waited at the bench, so I don't. I carry on watching the water dance. The man speaks again, and I see from the corner of my eye that he's looking down at my bag. What are you carrying? Can I see it? My eyes dart up as a pit falls in my stomach. They don't dart to the man, though. I look across the square at Bubba. He, all his friends, Mama and Amati are now all watching me. No, I'm getting it wrong. He said don't speak to anyone. The soldier's eyes follow mine across the square and he sees the cafe. When he does, Bubba and the others all look down or away, but Mama carries on watching me. Her eyes are piercing and red. Is that your family? Do you know them? The soldier asks. I don't reply, but the soldier carries on looking between me and Bubba, and then every so often the holdall I'm holding in my right hand. He reaches his chest and I flinch, but it turns out he's just pressing down on what looks like a walkie-talkie. Delta Romeo to Charlie Bravo 6, over, he mutters into the black box pinned to his chest. A voice squawks back, but I can't make out what they're saying. I look again to Bubba, Mama and everyone at the cafe. Bubba and his friends are speaking quickly to each other in a small huddle now. Can I get a clearance for... My ears ring like there are 100 mice squeaking in my skull. There was a vivid flash of colour, reds, oranges and pure cotton whites. And then I find myself lying on my back. The sky above me is moving like I'm on a rowboat and smoke wanders across the bridge of my nose. My legs are hot, but I can't lift my head to look at them. So I try and pat them with my hand, but I can't feel for the heat. My fingers feel strange and numb too, but I can't quite lift my hand to look at them either. The world is just grey and smoke above me, with the ringing mice keeping me from hearing any more. Is everyone okay? Baba, Mama, Amati, the soldier. Just as I think about him, the foreign soldier's head hovers over mine, and I scream at the sight of him. The whole right side of his face is covered in blood and mud, and his helmet has a large dent in the side. Oh no. Do I look like he does too? His mouth moves and he says something, but I can't hear what. He speaks again, but once more the speech is nothing more than an opening and closing mouth, as the ringing circulates in my head. He looks up at some unknown thing or person, says something, and then looks down at me. I feel two arms pick me up under my back and heave me into the air. The soldier's face is even scarier up close, and I see that the blood is thick, black, and congealed around his ear, which seems to be charred. As he turns and starts to walk with me in his arms, my head lolls back and I start to feel my eyes closing. The last thing I see before they shut is an upside-down view of the square over to the cafe in the corner. A huddle of black shadows that must be Mama, Amati and the other women are cowering on the floor. Their hands are outstretched to the sky. Beside them are several foreign soldiers, pointing their guns down at them and shouting something though of course I cannot tell what. Finally, I see that at the foot of the soldiers is Bubba. He's motionless, lying on the floor in a limp ball, his tunic drenched in a puddle of blood that is still oozing out the side of his head, like dirty water out of a rusted tap. Bubba. Allah save him, Allah. My world goes dark. I open my eyes slowly, and the sun has now sunk into the evening. Is it even the same day? Where am I? Where is my mum? Where is Bubba? I look down and notice that I'm tucked tightly into a green blanket and I'm lying on a small camp bed. There are stone walls around me, but no roof to the building I'm laying in. I see to my left there is a transparent plastic bag hanging off of a metal frame filled with a dark crimson liquid and a pipe leading from it to underneath my blanket. Hey there! A voice emerges from behind me. I can hear it now, but only through my left ear. My right one is full, like a blocked nose. Don't worry, it's me. The man from earlier, from the fountain. He comes round the corner and I recognise him, having cleaned up slightly, but still noticeably stained from when I last saw him. Where am I? I say. In a place called Camp Bastion. It's not too far from your home. It's a hospital for sick people. You're not very well. And I'm here to try and help. I'm a bit like a doctor. You're not a doctor, I say quickly. You're a soldier. He kneels down next to me and starts to untangle the tube leading to the red bag. Well, I'm both, he says matter-of-factly with a small smile. I'm a medic. My name's Dean Rook. What should I call you? I tried to stay quiet, but I can't help but speak. He might hurt me if I don't. Damsa. Damsa, that's a nice name, he says as he stands up and readjusts the bag. Listen, do you know why you've been hurt, Damsa? Do you understand what's happened? I shrug. I'm hurt? His eyes shoot quickly down to the blankets and then back up to me, but he doesn't say anything. Where is my Bubba? Where is my mum? I start to feel a lump form in my throat as I say Bubba's name. He could be okay. Your mama is okay. We're hoping to get you to her soon. Your Bubba. Was your Bubba one of the men waiting at the cafe back in the square? I nod, tears very much now filling my eyes. Okay, Dumser. And I need to ask, did your Bubba give you that bag, the bag you had with you at the fountain, or was it one of your Bubba's friends? It's Bubba, I say quickly. I didn't lose the bag, did I? Did you bring it with me to the hospital? The soldier pulls a face I don't really recognise. He looks very sad all at once, and I think he might need a cry too. He sees me watching him, and rather than cry, he makes a soft smile with the corner of his lips. Don't worry about that anymore. I'm the person that's going to help you get better. And when you are better, you won't need to worry about anything. He finishes tightening a plug on the red bag and stands, before going to walk out of a stone archway in the wall. Excuse me, Mr. Dean, I say as he walks away. Damser? Can you help my Bubba too? And my mama, and my Amati, and my friend Ali. I think they need it too. Can you try and help all of us, please? He places one hand on the stone wall and nods. He looks scary and stern, like my old madrasa teacher, but at the same time, soft and kind, like my mum. He swallows a big swallow and then says, "Any way I can." Thank you.